This video is going to be a look at the Lions defense and how they were able to get 2 early stops and force a turnover in their win over the Chargers out in Los Angeles in Week 10. They needed every bit of the 17-3 margin and 24-10 lead that they had at times during the first half. I still think the defense is having a lot of difficulty generating pressure, but played well enough early on to allow them to get a lead, a 14-point lead twice, like I mentioned. And then once the Chargers got rolling here, there just were not many answers. The inability to generate pressure on the quarterback, I think, is obvious in every week when they face a quarterback who's somewhat mobile, number one, and number two, a guy who can deliver the football quickly from multiple arm angles at multiple levels, intermediate, deep outside, middle. I think Justin Herbert put on a show, particularly after they fell behind 17-3. He's able to tie the game twice, I think, in the fourth quarter, and Lions did a brilliant job on their game-winning drive to convert a fourth down, convert a third down and a fourth down, and then get the game-winning field goal. My intention in this video is to show you how the Lions were able to get stops early and how that element, that inability to get pass rush pressure, is still potentially an issue, even though at this point they're 7-2. So we're going to start with the first possession for the Chargers. And look, the Lions are able to get a stop here. They're able to get a stop on the first possession. It's a 2nd and 9. It's a great job by Campbell staying on top of this little underneath route by Austin Ekeler, not jumping it. He's right here getting depth. He usually does a great job of getting depth. This obviously is a zone defense, cover two deep safeties. Campbell is staying on top of everything, not allowing himself to be suckered up to near the line of scrimmage. And then once Ekeler catches the football, he tackles violent. Like, he just dumps people. He's able to twist his hips and I don't want to say slam people down, but bring them to the turf with some impact. That creates this 3rd and 6, where I feel like Brian Branch does a nice job on Keenan Allen. It takes a slight pre-snap adjustment by Kerby Joseph and Branch. They're trying to figure out who's supposed to guard who out of the number 3, number 2, and number 1 receivers, who are all 3 dangerous, obviously. Branch matches up on Keenan Allen. Out down to the bottom side, you got a really nice job, I think, by Jacobs on Quentin Jefferson. Ball ends up overthrown by Herbert. There's a little bit of pressure in his face. One of the few times where I felt like I saw him have any level of discomfort in the pocket. Lions just weren't able to collapse things from the inside, number one, nor were they able to generate a whole lot of pressure off the edge. You can see here there's a nice wall that's been pushed back right in Herbert's lap, which might lead to this throw being high, but I feel like Branch has done a good job. It's going to take a very accurate throw to convert that one. So first possession of the game, Aaron Glenn's unit is able to go out there and get a stop. Unfortunately, Lions settled for a field goal on their first drive. If you recall, I believe that's the drive where Jameson Williams scores and then on a leaping screen and then gets called back for a terrible penalty, in my opinion, on Taylor Decker. Chargers actually tied it on their second possession, so we're going to fast forward after the Lions go up 10-3 on Jahmyr Gibbs' first 1-yard touchdown run, picking it up third possession, 4:18 left in the first quarter. This is going to be Austin Ekeler on a zone read concept. I think Aiden Hutchinson does a great job here, particularly in light of the fact that the inside linebacker to his side has been removed by this motion. Anzalone goes out with the tight end motion, and when Ekeler steps to and meshes with Herbert and then starts to go downhill, watch Hutchinson stay square. You've got to remember, he's 6'7", 270 pounds. That's a unique blend and mix of size, strength, and then speed and agility. This is only a 2-yard gain. I know that he's got a lot of strength and size advantages on Austin Ekeler, but Austin Ekeler is a guy who's made plays across the NFL against many defenses. Creates this 2nd and 8, and this is going to be an interception by Kerby Joseph. I think it's an amazing job of recognition by Hutchinson and Anzalone, and then just a shocking catch by he's a ball hawk. Kerby Joseph's just a ball hawk. You saw that last year's rookie season. So the motion goes through, and you've got run action to the offense's left, the defense's right. There's enough people here to deal with this. And what's happening is Hutchinson as the tight end engaging him. Now, Anzalone doesn't see that, but what Anzalone does see is that the ball was not handed off. So he basically replaces Hutchinson as the secondary pass contain guy, gets a QB hit that, in my opinion, forces this throw to be in the location that it ends up being in. I think Herbert's trying to layer it over the top of Hutchinson to this tight end, that was locked up with Hutchinson for a moment, and Kirby Joseph makes it's a ridiculous interception. I thought he had a ridiculous interception last year on a deep ball, or maybe it was just a pass deflected against the Packers. He's just intercepted so many passes against the Packers last year that maybe I'm misremembering. Guy's got great hands. He's a ball hawk. He's got great awareness, and in this case, as Herbert is releasing the football, I mean, he's got eyes on the quarterback right now. No matter where this ball is thrown, if it's thrown in his range, he's going to go get it. Beautiful play, if you ask me. Now, unfortunately, the Lions did not score on a 4th and goal from their 1 while they were ahead 10-3. I know after you get a turnover, everyone's excited. Personally, I'm like, man, what would be wrong with being up 13-3 on the road after you've gotten a stop and a turnover on the first 3 possessions? But nonetheless, that's Dan Campbell's, that's his focus, that's his thing, and it's a 4th and 1. D-tackle crosses 73's face, slaps him to the outside, gets in Goff's face, destroys the flow, destroys the timing of the play. Wasted an opportunity there early in the second quarter. Not complaining about Dan Campbell's decision because it clearly worked out in the Lions' favor on Sunday and has throughout the better part of the last 2 years. Lions get another stop in the second quarter. So the 2 times they forced the Chargers to punt was in the first 18 minutes of the game. Because this possession is a 3rd and 2 right here, 3rd and 1. Herbert just gets the ball out here to Eckler too late, and then it ends up being dropped. You can see Eckler is asking for the football to be thrown. I feel like the Chargers started to take advantage of the boundary side coverage. I'm not saying any particular player in detailed fashion. I just mean that they started to either go to the boundary or bring people across. This is mesh. Clearly, it looks like you've got a high side route here, potentially going to the right sideline for the offense. 2 players end up in the same area, making them pretty easy to guard. And Herbert settles for Eckler a little bit too late after one of the few times where you got pressure. In this case, shouldn't surprise anybody. It was Aiden Hutchinson. And the Lions defense is able to get a punt. Really wish Hutchinson was able to get a sack at some point during this game. It's 4 weeks now in a row where he doesn't have a sack, but two stops, 2 punts, and an interception in the first 4 possessions. I feel like that's pretty significant, particularly in light of the fact that the Lions were then able to go down and get another touchdown from Jahmyr Gibbs. I think this is a 4th and 1, if memory serves. About 7.5 minutes left in the second quarter. F counter play. No surprise there at all. F counter is the play that the Lions scored on against the Chiefs in their late 3rd or early 4th quarter drive. So you're getting a kick-out block here. And then the tight end is wrapping. There's really nobody to pick up initially for that tight end. Things are kind of muddied. And then he gets just enough of the DB to allow Gibbs to power into the end zone. I think that one put the Lions up 17-3. And then Herbert just started to go to work. We will look at 2 possessions here. Second quarter. They scored twice in the final 7:30 of the second quarter. I'm not saying the run game and other things don't matter, but Herbert and the Chargers seem to play better when they were somewhat one-dimensional here. It's mesh. It's a 3rd and 4. It's Eckler, running back from the left side of the screen. He's actually running the underneath route. Wide open because Anzalone had to run through a bunch of trash. And then once he gets here, if he's able to make the tackle in that area, could potentially force a 4th down. Unfortunately for him and the Lions, he misses the tackle. Eckler gets loose for 15 yards. 2 plays later, you get a really nice job, I think, up at the top side of the screen from Jerry Jacobs on a deep ball intended for, I think it's Guyton. No pressure at all until some D-tackle dives near Herbert's ankles. Jerry Jacobs, great timing. They targeted him often, don't get me wrong, but I thought there was at least 2 plays where he stood up and was able to tip the ball away like this one. Creates this 3rd and 7. That's Allen in motion. He's just going to bring his route back to the middle of the field. Sutton is kind of zoning this off a little bit. And you can see the safety has followed the tight end under. So all this vacated space is here. Doesn't seem like Sutton has realized that the safety is gone until it's too late and there's just so much space. It's not like he got beat and gave up that much space physically. The safety has vacated that area. looks to me very similar to something that Joseph did against the Ravens, or maybe it was Tracy Walker on a deep pass on the first possession, basically being a middle of the field free safety and jumping the first route to the middle of the field, and then the second route deeper to the middle of the field is able to run onto that space that he's vacated. I may be interpreting that wrong. Feel free to let me know in the comment section if you know more about that one than I do, but I feel like that's at least the second or third time that I've seen that occur. Same play from the end zone angle, and you can see Herbert's eyes. Look to the middle of the field. I believe he's locked right in on Joseph here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that at the bottom of the frame. And once Joseph goes ahead and goes with number 7, the tight end, I know you can see that, but Joseph's helmet is down here following him. I think Herbert has realized, okay, I got Keenan Allen late, and then this amazing sidearm throw around Harris, the defensive end, hits Allen right in time on that 3rd and 7, 11 yards. Again, let me know if you know more about that coverage on that play, if perhaps they talked about it in a press conference or anything like that. So then we start to get some attacking in the flats. This is 2 plays later, a 2nd and 10 to Davis, a super talented young guy, if you ask me. He's got a punt return for a touchdown this year. They use him in the backfield occasionally. Motioning him over to the side where the nickel defender is, to the field. In this case, I think it's Branch. And Branch, I think, ends up in basically the hook to curl area. Not too close right now, as it looks on the All-22, to the inside linebacker, but I feel like there should be more spacing with him recognizing. I don't say he's got to be right here up on this guy, but more so in this area where I would say you're playing curl and then flat. Just too much space. And by the time Branch is able to react, he can't even get a hand on the guy. I didn't think he looked really great from an agility standpoint in this game at times. 2 plays later, deep pass to Keenan Allen. They've isolated Jerry Jacobs up at the top side. Post route, he carried just enough of his momentum to the outside. And once again, they've occupied the safety to the boundary side. In this case, it's going to be with this tight end is going to hold this boundary side safety and just turn into an isolation post against Jacobs because you've got 2 routes threatening that half of the field. You can see Walker's taking that one. Jacobs there. Keenan Allen gave him just enough of an outside fake that with his size, jumping ability, and Burrow's arm strength and accuracy, able to get it there in time, make it 17-10. About 3.5 minutes left. But unfortunately for the Chargers, first play of the Lions' next possession is this zone. My apologies. First play of the Lions' next possession is this outside zone concept that Montgomery brings back. I like what St. Brown has done here. He just kind of pushed this defender and then moved up to the second level. I'll let you see it again. Apparently they were set to run a particular play, and Goff checked to it. St. Brown, I guess, has indicated that he wasn't sure what to do. Well, he at least got his hands on 45, who I think is a rookie, and then worked his way up to James, who doesn't look like, on a couple of the plays I watched, to have the same level of burst. I have no idea what his season looks like, but having seen him for multiple years, particularly when they came to Baltimore and beat the Ravens and Lamar Jackson after the 2018 regular season, he looked like a whirlwind in terms of his speed and athleticism and burst. It doesn't look the same in this film here. I don't mean any disrespect towards him. Chargers get the ball back, and they're able to, down 24-10, able to close to 24-17 by halftime. At this point, the defense is, I think, compromised from the standpoint of can't get pressure, can't influence Herbert's throws at all. It's a 1st and 10. It's too easy. And I think what they've done is pulled the boundary side inside linebacker, occupied the boundary side corner, and then running Keenan Allen onto this vacated space. Again, attacking to the boundary, either with direct routes on the first guy to defend it or late in the progression. I think this one is by design, to be honest with you. I think the design of this is to get him isolated in the middle of the field against the inside linebacker. In this case, it's Jack Campbell, who I thought played pretty well at times on Sunday, especially early. It's Keenan Allen for 13 yards. 3rd and 3 here. This is Keenan Allen for 28 in motion to the left side. Branch going with him, so it looks like Branch is going to defend him. And then I think him and Kirby Joseph switch this off. And Joseph gets beat quite badly by Keenan Allen. I mean, you can't blame him. That's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, particularly at his size. And Herbert's got the matchup he wants. the design of it. They get this corner out of the way. So Herbert knows the coverage. Once that corner's out of there, he knows he's got a one-on-one. Just got to try to put it somewhere where Keenan Allen can adjust to. Slot fade, essentially, complete. Borderline unstoppable play with a receiver that big. Austin Ekeler able to score on this 4th and 1. Interestingly, I think this is the possession where they got stopped on a 4th and 1, and then there was a penalty. It required 8 plays for them to score, I think, from inside the 5. Maybe I'm misremembering the yard line. Ekeler's able to squeeze in, make it 24-17 at the half. The beginning of this video was probably overly positive. The end of this video was probably overly negative from a Lions defense standpoint. I think this is going to be a constant issue against the higher level quarterbacks that have talented receivers / tight ends all over the field. There's only so many teams in the NFL that fit that niche that I just described. My concern for the Lions is the inability to get pass rush and play coverages tight enough that they can defend some of these concepts. And at this point, there's 9 games to watch and look at film, and you can kind of extrapolate some of the large-scale observations. If you were to package the Seahawks, Ravens, and Chargers games together, I think those 3 teams kind of fit that box that I described, or check off most of those boxes. Let's put it that way. If you're a Lions fan and you watch this long, first of all, thank you. Let me know what you think of the breakdown. Look, also, give me some feedback on what you think of my observation there. That this is, I'm not saying that every team's going to go out and score 30 points. Number one, everybody doesn't check off all those boxes offensively. Number two, the Lions will be able to adjust. And they were playing from in front for most of the game. I think from a coaching staff standpoint, it seems like Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson are able to recognize, okay, we're scoring on offense. We can play certain coverages to try to stop them on 3rd down. And you saw, I think, 5 3rd downs that I showed you here where they were, either able to get stops or not. I feel like the idea of the defense on Sunday was to not give up big plays, not play risky coverages. And you would play those risky coverages. Why? To get pressure on the quarterback. It seemed to me like a tactical decision by Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell, and I could be wrong. You guys, I've really only watched the game twice through now from a defensive standpoint. Guys, let me know what you think of those thoughts. If you believe other Lions fans might enjoy this content, this film study look at how the Lions were able to get ahead early and then hold off the Chargers late, then please consider grabbing a link to this video, sharing it out on social media to help this content get more reach.